Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? This is Kyle Everts. I'm back again with another live final chapter, hopefully, with the possibility of World War III underway. Now, I have to condole this administration for, again, helping us prepare. However, I found out a lot of truth. I have yet to do a whole bunch of research, a whole bunch of uh, what call it? Fact checking. You know, I found out that this world is owned by the Pope. It is owned by the United States at this point. We own the world. However, our Navy cannot destroy the world. That's crazy. But don't mind those two words. It was just something in my mind. Now, before we get into the video, I want to make myself clear, crystal clear. First off, copyright. Anybody who steals, rips, or copies my video without expressed permission for either entertainment, you can use it for entertainment purposes, but you cannot copy, steal, or rip my video without my express permission unless we're using it for a collaboration. Now, I want to ask you all something. Now, I want to make myself very clear on this. This is a issue that needs to be addressed. And addressed immediately. Hold on. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, now I want to make myself clear. Copyright. If you steal, rip, or copy my video without my express permission, you could use it for entertainment purposes, but you cannot rip it off my channel. Otherwise, DCMA strikes will be persistent without warning. Your channel will be bankrupt until you remove that video. Second, keep it PG-13. PG-13 is required for this channel. You could use one or two curse words, but 10 of them in a single sentence or chat, it will be enforced. Full swing. And it is not going to be pretty when you are muted from the chat. You could chat after the live, but you cannot, and I repeat, cannot be allowed to get away with having non-PG-13 related content. Because there's going to be a child who's under the age of 18 who's going to lie and say that they are under the age of 18, and I know it for a fact. Now, most of my viewers actually make up, the United States, which is, I wouldn't say a good thing, but a cultural dynamic thing. But we need more viewers from different nationalities, including North Korea, which Kim Jong-un is a fucking asshole. First off, he's a fucking piece of shit. Second. Third, he's a fucking terrorist. Now, with all that further ado, this content is not going to be graphic. However, it's going to talk about issues such as war, physical health, mental health, professional health, etc. It's also going to talk about death and sacrifice. Leadership won't give you the nightmares, but the sacrifice, the war, the death, that's true. Now, with all that further ado, we should get our presentation underway, shall we? Let's begin. Oh, hold on. Hold up. I have to share my screen. Hold on. Sorry about that.
The back office is having it signed with an auto pen. I thought about it, and I thought about you people first, admirals, generals.
Are you looking to establish your business using an address other than your home? Well, at iPostal One, we can help with that. You took the leap and started your own.
Generals. I said, somebody works. I thought about it, and I thought about you people first, admirals, generals. I said, somebody works his whole life. He gets into maybe the academies or wherever, but however you got there, and you go through years of work, and now you become an admiral or a general or whatever. And when you do, the President of the United States signs your commission, as you know, and that commission is beautifully displayed. And I sign it. Actually, I love my signature. I really do. Everyone loves my signature. But I signed it very proudly. And I always think to myself, how can you have an auto pen sign this? It's just so disrespectful. To me, it's just totally disrespectful. And it turned out that almost everything he did was signed by auto pen, except for when he gave his son, Hunter, pardon. He signed that one. And that's actually the worst signature I've ever seen. That was
That's not talking about
the auto pen looks much better. But as leaders, our commitment to every patriot who put on the uniform is to ensure that American military remains the most lethal and dominant on the planet, not merely for a few years, but for the decade.
Now, I want to stop sharing my screen for a couple minutes because when I was with my mom, I found out that the United States does not control its own military. It's the United Nations. If we try to put troops on the ground in Ukraine, think about that. The United Nations would not support it and would kick the United States, Great Britain, and France out of the United Nations and the Security Council. Because all three of those members I just mentioned, the U.S. being the leader of NATO, and the other two, France and UK, would, in fact, be kicked out because of their actions. All right. Again, I'm going to mention this. In Trump's first term, the only war we had was when we took out the fucking ISIS group. But now Trump's got a lot more wars to stop. We successfully bombed Iran to make them think twice. However, I'm going to key that again. However, we're just finally getting a foothold to end the Israeli Gaza and Hamas and Palestine war. Also, we're nowhere near close to ending the Russian-Ukrainian war because dictator Vladimir Putin cannot be trusted. And one thing I've learned studying this shit, Vladimir Putin is an easy target for me to nuke. Now, I've also found out, now I am going to do further research on this. Now, the United Nations also controls Russia, or the Pope. The Pope controls everything. So if the Pope says for the U.S. to launch nukes on Russia, we have to launch nukes on Russia. If the Pope says for Russia not to launch nukes in a counterstrike, Russia has to obey that order. I'm not saying that the Pope is telling them not to defend themselves, but what I'm saying is that, this is our American Pope. This is a controlled Pope. We own the world at this point. Back to the video. Man. Oh shit! Oh crap! Oh crap! Hold on. Sorry about that, viewers. I'm gonna.
Totally disrespectful. And it turned out that almost everything he did was signed by AutoPen, except for when he gave his son, Hunter, pardon. He signed that one. And that's actually the worst signature I've ever seen. That was the bad. The AutoPen looks much better.
Our global economy is on the brink of collapse. I can't fix that, but I can fix this.
My teeth are all coming loose and I'm afraid to smile.
Today, we're looking at the soaring cost of eggs.
Can't fix.
But as leaders, our commitment to every patriot who put on the uniform is to ensure that American military remains the most lethal and dominant on the planet, not merely for a few years, but for the decades and generations to come, for centuries. We must be so strong that no nation will dare challenge us, so powerful that no enemy will dare threaten us, and so capable that no adversary can even think about beating us. And we've had it recently. I had India and Pakistan were going at it. And I called them both. And in this case, I used trade. I'm not going to trade with you. Used to two nuclear nations, big nuclear. And no, you cannot do that. I said, yes, I can. You go into this freaking war that I'm hearing about. Actually, they just shot down 7 planes. 7 planes. It was starting. There's a lot of bad blood. And I said, you do this, there's not going to be any trade. And I stopped the war. It was raging for 4 days, but that was just the beginning. And we stopped it. It was a great thing. And the Prime Minister of Pakistan was here, along with the Field Marshal, who's a very important guy in Pakistan. And he was here 3 days ago. And I didn't even realize it as beautifully as he said it, but he said that to a group of people that were with us, 2 generals, but a group, he said, this man saved millions of lives because he saved the war from going on. And that war was going to get very bad, very, very bad. President Trump saved millions and millions of lives. That was a bad war. And I was very honored. I loved the way he said it. Susie Wiles was there. She said that was the most beautiful thing. But we saved a lot of them.
Okay. All that he did mention, we, we by the Pope, I mean, the Pope is from the United States in general. Um, the thing is that we, the thing is that we understand, war, but we don't try to preserve peace, and that's where things get fucked up. And user, up and down. I kind of like that going up and down. An issue is that, no, in addition to this, we have to that we as a country, if we are going to be responsible, we actually are. Actual researchers that I'm saying that we print money to spend because we spend more and than taxpayers, and it's ridiculous. But no, we're not going to make the corporations pay for the money. No. We're not going to do that. We're going to make the middle class suffer. And I'm getting sick and tired of it. That the idea that, it's unbelievable. And another factor is that the go to war, the rich people get richer.
Saved a lot of them. Even in Africa, we saved the Congo with Rwanda. They've been fighting for 31 years, 10 million people dead. I got that one done. And very proud of it. So if this works out, we'll have 8 in 8 months. That's pretty good. Nobody's ever done that. Will you get the Nobel Prize? Absolutely not. They'll give it They'll give it to some guy that didn't do a damn thing. They'll give it to a guy that wrote a book about the mind of Donald Trump and what it took to solve the wars. And he'll get the Nobel Prize will go to a writer. No, but well, let's see what happens. But it's be a big insult to our country. I will tell you that. I don't want it. I want the country to get it. But it should get it because there's never been anything like it. Think of it. So if this happens, I think it will. I don't say that lightly because I know more about deals than anybody. This is what my whole life was based on. And they can change, and this can certainly change. But we have just about everybody. We have one signature that we need, and that signature will pay in hell if they don't sign. I hope they sign for their own good and we create something really great. But to have done 8 of them is just like such an honor. And then we have Putin and Zelensky, the easiest one of them all.
Vladimir Putin and Zelensky. You know, they're not going to go to the negotiation table. They're not going to do that. No. The only way Putin can stop is if he puts on the goddamn ground. Since
I said, that one I'll get done. I thought that was going to be first. The others are much harder, some of them. Azerbaijan this was going on for 36 years. They said, it's not solvable, sir. You don't do it. I said, I will do it. I will do it. And I got on the phone with the 2 countries. They were great. They were great. I knew immediately. I knew as soon as I started talking to them, we're going to solve that war. We did. Now they're so happy. Now they're friends. One said he's been president for 32 years, 22 years. He said, you know, for 22 years, I did nothing but kill his people. They were in the room together at the Oval Office. And they started off spread like this. They have the beautiful Resolute desk. And one was here, and one was here. You couldn't get further away. That's the furthest I've ever seen 2 people in front of me. And as the hour went by, they got closer, closer, closer. And at the end of the hour, we had it done. And they hugged and hugged and hugged. And I said, that's so nice. And you're going to remain friends. And I spoke to them, one of them the other day. He said, no, he's now my friend. But for 22 years, he's been the head of Azerbaijan for 22 years. And the other guy, great guy too, 7. And you know that war, that was a war that was not solvable. He said for 7 years. The other one said for 22 years. All I did was kill his people. That's all I've done. I said, well, we're going to put a stop to that. So we solved that. So it's a great thing. It's a great feeling. You know, you're saving.
Okay, well, it is a great feeling that we can finally have a sense of peace. But all that shit there, I mean, it could. Vladimir Putin, again, the only way he's going to win it is if you put the troops on the ground. I mean, all conflicts are hard to resolve, especially when they are starting. That's
Kosovo and Serbia. You're saving so many lives doing this if you can do it. But our people deserve nothing less than the very best, and we're never going to let them down. And if we can solve wars instead of you having to fight wars, wouldn't that be wonderful, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful? That's why one of the first executive orders I signed upon taking office was to restore the principle of merit. That's the most important word.
That is the most important. We don't promote people based off race or religion. We promote people based off their skills, their performance, their merit, and their expertise, and their entire reputation. Understand that?
than the word tariff. I love tariffs. Most beautiful word, but I'm not allowed to say it.
Pause right there. Tariffs are a big benefit to our economy. They're also a big piece to a collapse of an economy as well.
Say that anymore. I said tariff is my favorite word. I love the word tariff. You know, we're becoming rich as hell. We have a big case in front of the Supreme Court, but I can't imagine, because this is what other nations have done to us. And we have, great legal grounds. Oh, but you still have a case. It would be very bad. Something happened. But I said, my favorite word in the English dictionary is the word tariff. And people thought that was strange. And the fake news came over and they really hit me hard on it. They said, what about love? What about religion? What about God?
Okay. I mean, sure, they have a point, but the media cannot control the U.S. government, though they can control the people. I'm going to say that right here, right now.
God, what about wife, family? I got killed when I said tariff is my favorite word. So I changed it. It's now my fifth favorite word. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But they hit me hard. But it is. I mean, when you look at...
don't fall for it. I mean, if that's your favorite word, that's your favorite word. Fuck the media.
We've taken in trillions of dollars. We're rich again. And there'll never be, when we finish this out, there'll never be any wealth like what we have. Other countries were taking advantage of us for years and years. You know that better than anybody. And now we're treating them fairly. But the money coming in is, we've never seen anything like it. The other day, they had $31 billion that they found, $31 billion. So we found $31 billion, and we're not sure from where it came. A gentleman came in, a financial guy. I said, well, what does that mean? He said, we don't know where it came. I said, check the tariff shelf. No, sir, the tariffs haven't started in that sector yet. I said, yes, they have. They started 7 weeks ago. Check it. Comes back 20 minutes later. Sir, you're right. It came from tariffs. 31 billion. That's enough to buy a lot of battleships, Admiral, to use an old term. I think we should maybe start thinking about battleships, by the way. We...
I have to agree there. Oh, God, yeah. That could build 2 U.S. aircraft carriers and the strike groups that go along with it. To be honest, that is nothing more than true. And to be honest, it's not really that bad with the tariffs, but charging 100% on China owes, but we owe a lot more.
We have a Secretary of the Navy came to me, because I look at the Iowa out in California, and I look at different ships and the old pictures. I used to watch Victory at Sea. I love Victory at Sea. Look at these admirals. It's got to be your all-time in black and white. When I look at those ships, they came with the destroyers alongside of them, and man, nothing was going to stop. They were 20 deep, and they were in a straight line, and there was nothing going to stop them. And we actually talk about, those ships.
I mean, again, $31 billion is enough to buy 2 aircraft carriers with their strict packages. Let's be real.
Some people would say, no, that's old technology. I don't know. I don't think it's old technology when you look at those.
I mean, battleships may be old technology, but the modernization of the battleship technology is not old. I mean, we can use AI into these battleships. It's just my opinion.
Guns, but it's something we're actually considering, the concept of battleship. Nice 6-inch sides, solid steel, not aluminum that melts if it looks at a missile coming at it. Starts melting as the missile's about 2 miles away. Now, those ships, they don't make them that way anymore, but you look at it and your secretary likes it, and I'm sort of open to it. And bullets are a lot less expensive than missiles. A lot of reasons.
Yeah, I think bullets are like $100 a piece. I could be completely wrong on that, but a missile costs like freaking tens of millions of dollars. Where you can buy freaking millions, if not billions, of bullets for that price.
I should take a vote, but I'm afraid to take that vote because I may get voted out on that one. But I tell you, it's something we're seriously considering.
Don't be a bitch, Don. I mean, to be honest, you were elected for a reason. And your campaign promises. Use them.
Powers, they were big powers. They were just about as mean and scary as you could be. And so we're looking at that. One of the biggest cases that we won was the decision of the United States Supreme Court to allow us to proceed on the word merit. Merit.
Oh, merit. Oh, God, yeah. It's more than enough common sense to pursue based off of merit to promote somebody and based off their race and religion. I mean, we have generals who could have zero skill who are promoted.
So those two words are right up there. So this is, I would say, the opposite if you ask for a definition, the opposite of political correctness. We went through political correct where you had to have people that were totally unfit to be doing what you're doing for many reasons. I won't get into them, but for many reasons they were unfit.
So much longer.
Now it's all based on merit. That was such an unbelievable decision. I didn't expect we were going to win that one. We went in. We said we need it. We went in for colleges, where kids with a C average are getting into the best colleges, and the kids with A averages won't get in. And kids with the highest boards and the highest marks and the best marks couldn't get into the best schools. And people that had not good boards and not very good marks, I mean, okay, but nothing special, they were getting into our best colleges. I said, this is just crazy. We can't run. You can't run.
Oh, my God. I agree with them 100% on this. Like, look at Harvard. You could have like a freaking 200% average and still be refused to get in or still be denied, even if you meet all the requirements. But if you have a fucking failure, oh, God, yeah, get them in. Like, what's the point of having requirements with lack of common sense? I cannot stress this enough.
Run a country like this, and it was lingering for years, and it got to the Supreme Court, and we won that decision. Merit, everything's based on merit. You're all based on merit. We're not going to have somebody taking your place for political reasons because they are politically correct, and you're not. We take the people that are going to do the best job.
No, yeah, agreed. I have to agree.
That's all. It's very simple. And that's the way our country was built. We were built on merit. We got away from it for a long time.
I wouldn't say we were built on merit. We were built on an idea of freedom.
And everyone understands it. And it was done. It was approved. I give great credit to the Supreme Court because I thought they had tremendous courage. I didn't think they'd do that. That was tremendous. I give them maybe for that decision almost more than anything because it's a hard decision to make. It's really hard. The apparatus of our country was not set up for.
It is hard to make a unanimous decision. It's a lot tougher than you think.
Merit. It was set up for political correctness, and you can never be great if you're going to do that. And we're going to be greater than we ever were before. We're bringing back a focus on fitness, ability, character, and strength. And that's because the purposes of American military is not to protect anyone's feelings. It's to protect our republic. And it's the republic that we dearly love. It's to protect our country. We will not be politically correct when it comes to defending American freedom, and we will be a fighting and winning machine. We want to fight, we want to win,
Oh shit.
and we want to fight as little as possible. You have to count on people like me to keep you.
Oh shit. Yeah. I have to agree with him on all that he just said there, especially when it comes to American freedom. However, saying this does not give you the excuse to be a tyrant. I'm not calling Trump a tyrant. Our government is tyrannic. One, because of its political divisions. Two, because it does not give a fuck about the people. Three, they only give a fuck about the money. That's the only time they're the smartest, unfortunately.
Because we don't want to go into wars. Many of the wars that I just told you about, we could have entered those wars and settled them in a different way, lose a lot of our troops. And we could have settled them, I guess, differently. Maybe not, actually. You might not have been able
it's
to
going to be
settle them.
kind of.
Just would have been in the middle of a lot of firepower.
It's going to be kind of hard to settle a war with boots on the ground with Russia because then they have the nuclear card. I think of it that way.
When we do need it, you're going to be so ready. And you know it. But very importantly, with that goal in mind, I've committed to spending over $1 trillion on our military in 2026. And that's the most in the history of our country. $1 trillion. That's a lot of money.
That's the most in the world.
I hope you like that.
Did you lose or damage your car key fob? Did you know that more than 26% of drivers lose their keys yearly? Do you know how unpleasant it is to lose?
Ma'ams and sirs, I hope you like it. That's a hell of a lot of money. We have the best of everything. Every branch is seeing major investments. And as I announced in the Oval Office in March.
Yeah, but we have the highest debt too.
We are rapidly moving forward with the first ever 6th generation fighter jet. I didn't name it. I did not name it. Boeing came in and they said, sir, this is our submittal. It's the greatest fighting jet ever done. And you know, they're testing all these planes, all the companies are testing, and this one tested like through the roof. And they said, we'd like to name it the F-47. I said, all right, let me think about it. Then after thinking for about 2 seconds, I said, okay. You know, that means 47, I'm 47. So I'm 45, 46, and 47, you know, if you think about it. I just don't want the credit for 46.
Oh, man.
I don't want to have their open borders and people coming in from all over the world, including jails and mental institutes. I don't want that on my record, but I like having it. We're investing tens of billions of dollars in modernizing our nuclear deterrence capabilities like never before. And we've begun construction on what we call the Golden Dome missile defense shield. It'll be the most sophisticated in the world. You watched it do well until they had some problems at the end with a little bit of a lack of ammunition, defensive ammunition, but they've got that taken care of. But I tell you, it's what we're doing is so.
And again, the Golden Dome is not going to be perfect. There's always going to be flaws, unfortunately.
Good, and we deserve it. You know, we help other countries with it. We don't have it ourselves.
Oh.
And
I mean, look at we're helping Israel. Why shouldn't we help ourselves to the feast?
Canada called me a couple of weeks ago. They want to be part of it. To which I said, well, why don't you just join our country? You become 51, become the 51st state, and you get it for free. So I don't know.
Oh, damn. That's a good deal.
If that made a big impact, but it does make a lot of sense. It actually makes, because they're having a hard time up there in Canada now, because as you know, with tariffs, everyone's coming into our country. We have more investment than we've ever had before, $17 trillion coming in. As an example, in 4 years, Biden didn't have $1 trillion. We have $17 trillion more than that in 8 months coming in. And they're coming in from Canada, Mexico, from Europe, from all over. AI, auto plants. Everybody's coming back.
Oh shit. That's fucking crazy.
Back to the United States. Under my budget, we will be expanding the U.S. Navy by at least 19 ships next year, including submarines, destroyers, assault ships, and more. And it's going to be much more than that as we go along, because we basically don't build ships anymore. We do build submarines, but we don't build ships. You know, in the Second World War, they were freighters and different types, but we were doing a ship a day. And now we don't do ships. And I'm not a fan of some of the ships you do. I'm a very aesthetic person, and I don't like some of the ships you're doing aesthetically. They say, oh, it's stealth. I said, that's not stealth. An ugly ship is not necessary in order to say you're stealth. By the way, the B-2 bombers were incredible. That is stealth. They went into that. I was with...
Yeah, the B-2 bombers are actually stealthy because they were not detected by Iran, though they were seen by the American people heading, I believe it's either east or west, towards Iran.
General Kane and Pete we call it the war room, but we're watching them go in, and they were totally untouched. They were not seen. They were literally not seen. They dropped their bombs. They hit every single one of them, hit its target. It was total obliteration. CNN, when we came back, fake news CNN, oh, their camera just went off. You know, their camera, every time I mention them, they turn the camera off because it's never good. They say, this is a problem, but I don't blame them. You're better off keeping it off. But they...
I mean, you look at Fox, though. They are Trump supporters, but politically biased, and that creates civil war and civil unrest.
They have some scammer reporter who started saying, without any knowledge, that he may not have hit the targets as well as they thought. It may not have been obliteration. He did hit the targets, and they got to give us a little credit, right? It was obliteration, it turned out. The Atomic Energy Commission said it was obliteration. They had, not only did they hit the target, they had these chutes. And think of this here, way up.
Sorry about that.
You couldn't see them, but they had, I guess, a beam going right into these chutes. Every single one of those bombs went right down those chutes into a granite mountain. I think it's the last time they're going to build air chutes. They had these air chutes that were nice, beautiful.
I mean, we don't need air chutes because we got fucking smart bombs, and then add AI into the mix.
For us, but it was total obliteration, and now they give us credit for that. But these people were phenomenal. I tell you, for the Air Force people here, you can be very proud. That B-2, we just ordered a lot of new ones and updated ones, but I'd take the other ones. Let me tell you, they couldn't have worked any better. So they flew for 37 hours total, back and forth. No stops, no nothing. We had 52 tankers loading them up. And that's a job I wouldn't necessarily want too much, flying a tanker loaded up with hundreds of thousands of gallons of fuel. I don't know if I'd do that job. I asked the question, what happens if it gets hit? Sir, you don't want to know about that, right? I don't want to know about that. But those guys, they just hear us. They're incredible. I had them all to the Oval Office. We had the B-2 pilots and a lot of the people, even the people that took care of them, the maintenance people, just as important. We had them all to the White House, gave them a big party on the lawn, brought some of them into the Oval Office. But on top...
I mean, yeah. B-2s cost $2.1 billion, not just for purchase, but to maintain every year after purchase alone. So
top of all this, we'll deliver a hard-earned pay raise of 3.8% to every soldier, sailor, airman, Coast Guardsman, Space Guardman, and Marine.
I mean, a 3.8% pay raise is not enough because of its inflation.
And something you weren't getting from the past administration. They did not treat you with respect. They're Democrats. They never do. Not only are we rebuilding our great strength, but for the first time in years, my administration is actually using that strength to defend the core and vital interests of America. And very simply, we are putting America first. And I have since I've been elected. I've always put America first. It's sort of simple, you know, when you think. My campaign was run on common sense, and we did great. We got the highest numbers ever received in terms of districts. You know, they have it broken up: 2,500 versus 525. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote. We won everything. We won everything. You have to take a look at the map. It's almost entirely red, except there's a little blue line on each coast, and I think that's going to disappear too. We did really great, and part of it is because of our success with the military, the rebuilding of the military, the vote that I got from the military, and they're vicious people, you know, that we have to fight, just like you have to fight vicious people. Mine
That is true. I mean,
are a different kind of vicious, but they spread all these horrible, you know, they made up statements and said what I said about everything, but even about the military. But fortunately, the military didn't believe it. It's hard. You know, they make up a statement and they said, you say it. We had 25 people that said he never said that. 25. We had 25 affidavits. And they said, well, we're going with it anyway. You know, these sleazebags. And that's why the press is really losing all power, because people aren't believing it. We need an honest press. We need borders. We need borders. We need an honest press. We need fair elections. I mean, those three things. And we don't have an honest press. We have a really corrupt press, but we fight through the corrupt press. And the people understand you have to do this stuff a lot. You have to go on television a lot because you can't get a fair shake if you're going to rely on somebody else. They don't understand. They've destroyed the image of media now is at the lowest point it's ever been. It's lower than Congress. Can you believe that? It's something.
Oh, damn, bro. Slower than Congress. Holy shit. I don't think Congress is smart at all.
Together with many of you in the room, we've brought back the fundamental principle that defending the homeland is the military's first and most important priority. That's what it is. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than
I mean, we technically are. So, yeah, I have to agree.
Foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on. We're not going to let this happen.
Agreed. We cannot keep spending tax-paying American dollars on other countries, obviously NATO, but non-NATO countries or non-allies. We stop wasteful spending and spend money wisely.
Let people come in from prisons, mental institutions, drug dealers, murderers. You know, we had 11,488 murderers allowed into our country by this guy who had no clue. He had no clue.
No, it's actually a lot higher than that, Trump, not gonna lie.
He shouldn't have been there in the first place, but he had no clue. The people that ran the office, the White House, were people that surrounded him, radical left lunatics that are brilliant.
I mean, all politicians are lunatics. But yeah, one party is worse than the other. All right, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go the full hour tonight. I'm starting to fall asleep. Please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Have a good night, and see you all tomorrow. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.